Hello and welcome to Tales from North Carolina with your host, Fleshface. Today, a lot of you have been asking, what have you done since you've been here on Earth? I understand that you're from another planet and you had to look for work. Yes, I did. My NDA was not nearly as high as I wanted it to be. It was not a Cheech and Chong. It was more like a Rob Van Dam, like you could still win a world title, but it wasn't that high. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Anyway, I don't do drugs, so I don't know exactly what I meant by that. Anyway, so a lot of you have asked what I do, but speaking of Rob Van Dam, yes, I made that reference. That's slightly obscure. I am a big wrestling fan. Love pro wrestling. In fact, for a while, when I got here in the 80s, I tried. I had a meeting with Vince McMahon. He said to me, he liked my look. He said I was a very handsome man, large traps, and then the skeleton body was a whole thing. So, actually, originally, it was late, I want to say 89-ish, and they were working on this character. He was an undead man, and he had a pallbearer with him. I think you know where I'm going. That's right. Bret the Hitman Hart. Just kidding. No, of course not. They wanted me to be the Undertaker originally, and they liked my look. They liked that I was a living skeleton man with a face. The main problem was that I am too handsome. Kind of like a John Hamm, but like if John Hamm did more than just cardio. I put it that way. Very chiseled, very, very distinguished, very old school, classic. 60s. I could probably smack a woman around and she'd forgive me. That kind of look. Did a sort on the table, smack. That kind of look. I'm not saying that's. I'm not. Wait. It sounds like I'm saying that's okay. That's not what I mean. That's not okay, and I don't agree with that. I'm just saying that is the look that I have. Anyway, so the very, very handsome man, and Vince liked it. He put his hand on my traps and he squeezed very hard, and he said, hey pal, I like how you look. Wait, see if I can do my Vince voice here. Hey pal, you got a good look, pal. Why don't you come work for us? Come work for us, pal. That's pretty good, not bad. Anyway, so, but to lower the voice, it's hard. So he we met. He saw me. I was actually working at a bouncer at a nightclub, and Vince came in, and he kept saying something along the lines of, "What Linda doesn't know won't hurt her," which was weird because it was a male strip club. But I don't want to get into that. I'm not making accusations. He might have just wanted to enjoy the dance. I think he's very much about the dance, and so he was there. And he was asking me how we get, he took a look at me. He says, you're a living skeleton man. I said, yes, actually, I'm a skeleton man. He said, where are you from? And I said, I can't tell you. I'm not allowed. And he said, that doesn't make any sense. How are you a living skeleton? Are you eternally damned? Did you kill a man? Are you like reverse Ghost Rider? I don't think he said that. I think I made that up. Obviously, Vince doesn't read anything at all. So he doesn't read. I don't think he can read, actually. I think it's just a lot of yelling and dictation. So anyway, he liked my look. He liked how big my traps were. He said that I've got a gimmick for you. It's an undead man that buries people. He puts them in a bag. And he really liked my look. If you're wondering, I'm about 6'1", 6'2". He said, you're a little short, but we can put on lifts, or we can extend your bones with bone extenders. I asked him what those are, and he didn't know. He just said, I assume they exist, because if they can extend my hair, they can extend my bones. He was very drunk, so I don't know what that meant. So anyway, he said, I'll talk to you when I get out. So he was there 6 hours. He went in to the, God, I can't even remember the name. It was a Florida area. It was actually called the Miami Hot Heat. I think this was before the basketball team, or after. but it was the Miami Hot Heat. It was an all-male nude review, if I'll put it that way. Yes, nude review. So Vince, he was in there for 6 hours. He came out. His hair was messed up, and he had the biggest smile on his face. He says, "Oh yes, Skeleton Man." And I said, "You can't call me just call me Flesh Face." He goes, "Ooh, I like that name." And I said, I don't like the way that you got excited about that, but let's continue to talk business. I've also been waiting here for 4 hours. My shift ended 2 hours after you entered, and I'm not allowed to talk to guests unless I'm working. So anyway, he said, "All right, pal, here's my number." And he gave me his direct line to his Connecticut phone number. He said, we're heading out of town. And him and Pat Patterson did a high five, and then they left. I don't know why they waited so long to do the high five, but they were very enthusiastic. Anyway, so they left, and I called him about 2 days later. And needless to say, I was not able to get through. Vince is a very busy man, especially in the 80s. He had spent a lot of time around the Hulksters and the Macho-sters and the Bret Hart-sters. And he was having Shawn Michaels-stir come up, and Marty Jannetty-stir, and they were all coming up, and they were doing their thing, and anyway, so I was able to get through. I got through the secretary, and she was very nice, and she said, "Well, Vince brought up a Skeleton Man. I thought he was, I was going to call to have him committed, but now that I'm talking to you, you definitely sound like a Skeleton Man." And I said, "I don't know, what does a Skeleton Man sound like?" She said, "It sounds like you. Clearly, I mean, you're clearly a skeleton. I can tell by talking to you. You sound like a skeleton with a very attractive head." So I said, "Okay, all right, fine. So, whatever. What do I do?" She said, "Well, we're going to send you a bus ticket. We want you to come up here from Florida to get a couple of days off. It'll take you about 20 hours to get here on bus." So they sent me a Greyhound ticket to my residence, which was a little studio apartment, which is fine. I only need the dumbbells for the shrugs. I don't need anything else. And I don't have to eat. I just eat for the enjoyment of it. So, anyway, so they sent me the Greyhound ticket, and I went up. And there was no Wi-Fi at this point, so really it was just a lot of staring out the window, contemplating my life and how I got here. And that wasn't great. That was actually a very bad time. But I was hopeful that Vince would have a job for me. So, we got into. I finally met with Vince, and first he says, "This is Pat Patterson, it's my right-hand man, and Pat, we've got to do some things." I said, "Okay." So what happened was Pat Patterson, he took me to the ring, he worked me out. Not like that. I know there's accusations. That's not what I meant. He whipped me off the ropes. He tried locking up with me. That's when the two guys get very close enough to smell each other's breath. And then he was showing me like a hammerlock. And the biggest problem, he said, was that when I would take a back bump, which is when you fall on your back, you see it like you get hit in the face and you fall backwards, my bones would come apart and then they would reform through the shape of magic. And he said the problem is it takes about 2 seconds too long, and if you're taking 3 clotheslines in a row, it doesn't look great. It takes too long. I have to wait there. So I said, well, what if I did like a sit-up thing? Like, what if I sat up like one of those horror movie villains? And he said, I don't know what you mean, show me. So I would lay down and I did a straight sit-up, and then I turned and I looked, and they said, well, we like that idea, but we don't know if it's for you. Let's see what else we have. And I said, I'd really like to work with Mr. Perfect, actually. I was a big fan. I liked the Perfect Plex. Everything he did was perfect, and I think he could be the perfect man and the perfect looking man, and then a skeleton. They said, well, it's hard. We're not sure exactly how to hide your identity. They have this thing in WWE. It's called the airport test, and it's how many people turn to look at you when you're in the airport. And if they see that a lot of people turn to you, then they feel like they've built a real star. Well, the problem is that I'm a skeleton man, so people look anyway when I'm in the airport. I haven't taken a lot of planes, but I have been. I've been to Boca. Boca's very nice. I mean, granted, I had to take, but anyway. So they said, well, what about a mask that might hide your identity? And I said, that's fine, except for the fact that I am skeleton from the collarbones down. And they said, oh, that's an excellent point. What if you wore what if you joined Demolition? And they put the leather straps on me. And I'll be honest, that was a little close to comfort in terms of the NDA. I said, look, this looks too much like the stuff that my brother wears. And Vince, I will never forget this. Vince calls it bedsome armor, which was weird. And I said, I don't know what bedsome is. And he's like, you, come on, man. You're a skeleton. You should be into this. And I said, what? Why would skeletons be into that? So he said bedsome armor, and I had to look it up. I actually had to ask Pat Patterson. I'm a little ashamed to say, and he whispered in my ear, and I said, oh, that's filthy. I don't like any of that. Could I not wear this? He said, well, we don't really have much else for you unless you want to be like the guy behind Jake the Snake that holds the snake. Because Jake didn't really like snakes. Little known fact, he doesn't like them very much. Kind of afraid of them, actually. But they said, do you want to hold the snake behind Jake? And I said, to work with Jake the Snake Roberts, yes, that'd be great. So Vince told me, all right, well, let's set up a meeting. And I set up a meeting at a nice restaurant. Well, needless to say, look, Jake is good now. He's in a great place now. We're all very happy for Jake. But back then, Jake, not a great place. He was, if people get 3 sheets to the wind, he had a full comforter set. I'll put it that way. And so we met at this fancy restaurant, and he was, let's say, putting out his dust ruffle. And, well, he grabbed the waitress in a way that I found inappropriate. I said, Jake, please don't grab the waitress. She seems like a very nice person. She's just taking your food order. And this is paid for by Vince, so let's work something out. And he said to me, listen, brother, I don't care if you are a living skeleton, all right? You're not taking away my money, because, I wasn't going to be a manager, and I wasn't really going to wrestle because of the bone explosion. So they decided, let's try it out. So we actually filmed some vignettes, a few promos. It was actually going to be included on the Jake the Snake DVD set, but Jake didn't want it on there. He didn't want me making any money. He really doesn't like me. And I think it's because I defended that waitress. She seemed very nice. It's just a young Filipino girl, just come over here from the States, trying to make a living. And there's Jake grabbing her arm, and, look, he's in a good place now. Look, I'm happy for him, and I'm sure he's apologized to the lady, but back then, not great. So, I talked to Vince, and I said, well, Jake's not really on board. And he said, well, Jake's got a lot of sway here. And, there's not much else we can do with you. How about working with the Rockers? And I said, Maracas? He said, no, the Rockers. I said, oh, that makes more sense. We're going to have a musical interlude. Yes, that makes more sense. So they paired me off with Marty Jannetty, and same restaurant. And that poor waitress, Marty, he grabbed her arm too. That poor woman went through a lot that day. Same day, I had lunch and dinner. I went for a mild jog, and then came back. And Vince said, look, none of these guys like you. You're not willing to play the game. Look, we're not really drug testing at this point. He didn't say that, but let's be honest. They weren't drug testing at that point, were they? Yes. So, me and Marty did not get along. Me and Jake did not get along. So I'm just trying to make things work, and didn't work at all. So went back into Vince. I said, what else do you want to do? He said, well, you can't bump, you can't hold snakes, and you can't rock. So I'm sorry, pal, but you've oh, sorry, let me try the voice again. I'm sorry, pal. There's just got no place for you, pal. You're fired. Which was weird that he said you're fired, because I wasn't actually fired. I hadn't even been paid yet. He did give me a couple $1,000s for my trouble, which, to Vince's credit, he did. And then he gave me then he slipped me 10 more, and he said, you tell no one of me going to see the Miami Hot Heat. I said, I don't share clientele information with anyone. So, he thanked me, he shook my hand, and he said, well, get out of here, pal. Maybe if you could, puke on demand, that would be better. But as I have no bowels, I cannot puke. So, that was the end of it. And, that's how everything sort of went. And It was a very sad day. I really love wrestling. I still do. I still watch all the wrestling now. Big fan of Mortis. He's my boy. He's my bottom boy. And he's a good guy, Mortis. I like that he had the skeleton gimmick. Not a lot of skeletons. Taker had the mask for a while, which I think was a nod to me. I think was a way of, I know that Mabel broke his face, but I think there was a little bit of let's do like a little skeleton nod to the guy who almost had this gimmick. But I tell you what, I don't think I could have done what Taker did with that. Not even close. He was next level. I mean, that guy made it work for like 30 years, and really, it shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have worked at all. It's a dead man with a fat man, and they're putting people in body bags. And a lot of indie wrestlers just... I hope you don't have claustrophobia if you had to work the Taker when he first started, because that was... And that probably didn't wash that bag. So, you've just had, a 6-7 minute match, and you're sweaty, and then you're on a bag, and, it's like that old STD commercial, where, you sleep with someone, you sleep with everyone they've slept with, but the difference is now, you just sweat with everyone they sweat with, and they sweat with 2 friends, and they sweat with 2 friends, and so on, and so on, and so forth. Yes, that's an old commercial that I remember from back in that time, actually. And, so, just imagine, just hundreds of indie wrestlers with very poor hygiene just getting stuffed into the same bag that I'm pretty sure they didn't wash out. That's probably why they just gave up the gimmick. It probably just started to smell, and I'm sure that Mr. Taker did not want to take it with him. He probably said, you know what, this is not for me. Can we do, anything else? I'll wrestle the fat Samoan guy. But we only have to use that coffin once, So, I forgot where I was. But anyway, yes, Mark Calloway, great guy, just retired. Fantastic, thank you for everything, Mr. Calloway. But that's not the end of my wrestling tale. So let's just say that I have a tale for another time, where on the way back to Florida, I decided to take a stop in Atlanta. Yes, at that time, it was a big deal to stop in Atlanta. And let's just say I had a few more meetings, and you may have seen me once or twice. But, yes. Or maybe you didn't. I don't remember. Or I do. We call that a tease in the business. So you're teased for next time. I'm teasing you now. All sorts of teasing. The sensual kind and the non-sensual kind. All the teasing is allowed. But, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, but, yes, I may have had a meeting in Atlanta, Georgia in 1989. I was a skeleton man with a very handsome face. So, there's more tales abound for my indie career. Yes. So anyway, yes, we'll get back to that. But I just wanted to give you a little insight in my life and what I've been doing for the past 40 years. So remember, as always, it's evil to be good, but it's good to be evil. How do I stop this? Right, this button.